The fund industry is closely watching a proposal from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission that would change the way funds approach liquidity management. I spoke with ICI General Counsel David Blass as ICI filed its response to the SEC. He outlined our concerns as well as our strong support for their idea.
We expressed very strong support to the SEC to adopt a liquidity management program. We do have some issues with some elements of the proposal, especially the highly prescriptive liquidity classification approach that the SEC proposed and the 3-day liquidity minimum, which have really problematic aspects to them.
David, in the letter you outline a number of concerns focused on the fund liquidity proposal, the classifications or so-called buckets.
Sure. So we view that liquidity classification approach, which requires funds to analyze their portfolios or classify their portfolios into 6 different categories, as highly subjective. It has a facial appearance of being an objective, comparable liquidity classification, but in fact it's very subjective. And we do worry quite a bit and express concern in our letter that it could lead actually to introducing new risks into the fund space, including by making funds more homogeneous in their investment profile. Where we have issues with the SEC's proposal, provide alternative approaches. We do think there can be a benefit to funds classifying their portfolios using some form of liquidity classification, but we think that funds should be permitted to use tried and true approaches that implement sound risk management principles, which regrettably the SEC's proposal doesn't do.
In the letter, you also talk a good deal about the SEC's proposal for a 3-day minimum liquidity level.
On the 3-day liquidity minimum, again, we support funds' adoption of a target for liquidity. The problem with the SEC's proposal is it really impacts portfolio management and could result in funds not being able to buy assets in an attractive market condition or reducing the liquidity in certain market conditions.
So David, this really is a big issue, and it's one that ICI will continue to be very engaged in for some time to come.
Well, we've been very fortunate to have a group of, I think, about 50 fund complexes that have lent support through their chief risk officers or senior portfolio managers. We've consulted very closely with that working group, liquidity management working group, and we certainly encourage greater dialogue at the SEC with the ICI and with our liquidity management working group as the SEC moves forward on this rule proposal.